It's great to have you all here on Hangar 96. We have a Qantas 787 behind us, and it's great to welcome all the Qantas staff that are here today to hear what is, for us, probably the biggest and the best news that we've had in 2 years. We have gone through an unbelievable 20 months. So it's really great that we have the staff, the aircraft, our engineers, our pilots, our cabin crew here to hear this amazing news. I'm also very pleased to have the Prime Minister of Australia and the Premier of New South Wales. This is big news for the country, and it's also big news for New South Wales in particular. As I said, this 20 months is probably the darkest period in Qantas's 100-year history. It's meant that we've had to ground aircraft, stand down people and restructure the business. But there is light at the end of the tunnel. It's very clear that because Australians have rolled up their sleeves and taken the jab, we can see that light. We're getting more aircraft back in the air. We're starting more international operations. And very importantly, we're getting more of our people back to work. In 10 days' time, one of these 787s will depart Sydney and go to Darwin on its way to London. That's the first time since March of last year that Qantas has operated long-haul international regular services. And it's very fitting that in the final days of our 100th birthday that we start the Kangaroo route again. A route that's defined Qantas for nearly 60, 70 years. And a few days later, we have a flight going from Sydney to Los Angeles. Before COVID, Qantas was the largest international carrier operating in and out of Los Angeles. So having that starting again is a great step on our recovery back to a post-COVID world. And all of this is possible because of the federal government's announcement that on the 1st of November we'll start opening our borders again, and the New South Wales announcement that Australians fully vaccinated do not have to do quarantine in this state. And that has been a phenomenal reaction that we've seen to it. First of all, we've now moved those flights earlier because of that. And we've added 20 flights to London in particular, and demand has been massive. In a few hours, a large number of those flights sold out. There's extremely strong demand of people wanting to get back into Australia for Christmas. We've also seen now, of 4 of the last 5 weeks, that Qantas's sales are bigger on international than they have been on domestic. That hasn't happened since COVID began. And our frequent flyers have reacted unbelievably well to these announcements. Last Tuesday was the biggest day of redemptions in Qantas's history. 500 million points were used for people to travel. So it is very clear there is pent-up demand. There's massive demand for Australians wanting to see the family and relatives. There's massive demand for loved ones wanting to get together for Christmas. There's massive demand for people wanting to take that holiday that they've been looking forward to for nearly 2 years. And a result of that demand, we're making a few announcements today that are amazingly positive for our people, amazingly positive for our customers. First of all, we're announcing that our flagship aircraft, the A380, will come forward, and the first one will arrive back in Australia on the 25th of December. A great Christmas present for our people. We will have a second one in place so that by April we can start Sydney-LA again, a daily service with the A380. Now, only 3 months ago, we were planning to keep those aircraft in the desert until December 23. That's how fast things are moving and how optimistic we are about the demand, that we're bringing 2 of them forward into April of next year, one of them based before Christmas for training of our crew. Secondly, we're announcing that we're bringing forward the start date of 5 important markets. We're bringing Singapore operations from Sydney forward till the end of November. We're bringing forward services to Fiji to early December, and we're bringing forward services to South Africa, to Johannesburg, to early January, and to Phuket and Bangkok to middle of January. Some of those services are being brought forward by over 3 months, again, because we expect that there's significant demand for them. And we're in dialogue with the Indonesian government about opening up Bali for Australians that are fully vaccinated so that they don't have to go into quarantine. Jetstar was the largest carrier operating into Bali. Australians were the largest visitors before COVID. And it'll be phenomenal news for our Jetstar people if we can operate into Bali before Christmas, which we're working at the Indonesian government to try and do that. We're also, very importantly, announcing that we're starting a new service from Sydney to Darwin to Delhi. This is the first time in 10 years that Qantas has gone back into the Indian market. We have been used to flying to India over the last few months because on behalf of the Australian government, we've done 60 repat flights. And I'd like in particular to talk and to thank our crew that are here today. A lot of them have been doing a massive amount of repat flights. Some of our crew have been continuously in quarantine. They are being separated from their families to allow Australian families to get together, to allow vulnerable Australians to get back into the country. And talking to them earlier, they're extremely excited about the opportunity to fly into Delhi on a regular basis. And that service will start in early December. We're also talking to Boeing about bringing forward 3 brand new aircraft that are in the Mojave Desert and trying to bring them forward to April of next year, which will grow our 787 fleet to allow us to do even more flying. But probably the most important part of the announcement we're making today is the implications this has for our people. We believe that the domestic borders will be opened up. We've got the announcements for Queensland, South Australia and Tasmania, and that gives us confidence to get to 100% of pre-COVID levels domestically in January and up to 120% of pre-COVID levels by April. So we're proud to announce today that all of our domestic crew that have been stood down, 5,000 people, will be back at work in early December. Great news for them and their families. And the 6,000 international crew, some of which that have been stood down since last March, will also be given the opportunity to work for us and start working again in early December. We will need the A380 crew back to do the training needed to get that operation up and running. And again, I will say all of this is possible because of what the state and the federal government have done. And I in particular want to thank the federal government and the Prime Minister for the assistance packages that they've given our people. JobKeeper and then the IAS package, which has allowed those international employees to remain connected with Qantas. It's allowed us to retain that skill set. It's allowed us to really activate these aircraft earlier than we would have otherwise if we had lost those employees. So thank you, Prime Minister, for that amazing program that's got us through this. And can I thank both of you for your leadership in opening up the borders? And thank the Premier of New South Wales in particular for moving to what every other global city in the world has moved to, which is that there's no quarantine for vaccinated passengers coming in. That has given New South Wales a leading advantage, and that has made New South Wales our gateway to the world. We hope that the other states will follow soon so that we can start operations out of those states internationally, like our commitment here to New South Wales. So again, thank you for being here today. I'm really pleased for our people that we are seeing light at the end of the tunnel, and I'm really pleased for our customers that they can welcome back international travel and significant amount of international travel from November